Good morning and greetings from Northumberland. As you can see, we've had to close the curtains again because the sun's so bright on this day when we were expecting severe rain. We'll have to wait and see what happens. Today is the 27th of July. The month is nearly at an end. It seems to me to have whizzed by this month. That's mainly because I lost, I think, a couple of weeks of it through having a rather bad cold, but there we go. I was reminded yesterday that it was the 5th anniversary of the death of a French priest, Jacques Hamel. You may remember his story back in 2016. He was murdered at the altar of his church in France by extremists. And he was martyred as he celebrated the Eucharist because the extremists stood out against his faith and his practicing of his faith. And that's an amazing thing to remember, that such hatred still exists. The reason I bring this to the fore a day after the anniversary is something I read in our local Facebook today. Someone who I've met a couple of times published, as part of something they do on Facebook, some information, some public information about vaccines. About tests where we could get free tests, where we could pick up lateral flow tests to use in our homes and our families. And this led to her being the recipient of incredible abuse on social media. Some really vile and violent things were said to her. I find this completely shocking. But it does remind us of something. In the parable today, we are told how the good and the bad grow together, and that at some point what is evil has to be dealt with. And we do have to beware of extremism. Sometimes extremism is the result of frustration, of oppression, of people being treated very, very badly. But also it can sometimes be the result of people not getting things as they want them, or not thinking things through. And we have seen extremist scenes in the last year around the whole COVID pandemic. People have been anti-vaxxers, anti-mask wearers, and have not only decided for themselves that they shouldn't do these things, but they've also decided to attack those who propose measures that are for the safety of others. We must always be very careful when we encounter extremism, and to challenge it. To challenge violent extremism, because it erodes our freedoms, and it erodes the ability that we all have to live fulfilled lives. Christian people must stand for love and justice and peace. And we are called to give support to those who are vulnerable and those who are attacked. We celebrate in the Church of England today a man called Brooke Foss-Westcott, who was a theologian, a biblical scholar, an educator, someone who lived an academic life, but also as a bishop, as the Bishop of Durham, he was a proponent of the rights of the most vulnerable. I think what I'm saying today, in maybe a confused way, is when we have violent extremism, when we have injustice, when we have people who are still being martyred for their beliefs and attacked for their beliefs, then as Christian people, we have to follow the way of Christ, stand for what is right, and above all, stand alongside those who are threatened. May God give us courage in doing this, and may God bless us all.